program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
Time now for the most listened to talk show in Vegas.
You think we're fighting, and I think we're finally talking.
Talking with those on the right, the left, and everywhere in between.
Quiet. Shut up and let me answer, okay?
Answer.
Pot him down, please, because this is another MAGA who doesn't understand how to have a conversation with somebody.
It's Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro.
I'm kind of a big deal.
This show will make you laugh, make you cry, and it might raise Brian's blood pressure.
You know what, dude? You know what, dude? People like you, all you do is make excuses for the orange turd, and I've had it.
All the smash and grabs and everything. Yeah, tell me, what race is doing that, first of all?
Okay, so you want to be a racist now. Okay.
Race is doing it. Seen it on the news?
I don't watch Klan TV like you do, sir.
Buckle up, because it's Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro.
You're different. I like you.
Now, here's Brian.
All right, what's going on, everybody? A very happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us, the most interactive and certainly most listened to talk show in the Valley. We appreciate you being part of the show. You could be listening on the Occupy Democrats Network, on the Washington Press Network, on my personal YouTube page, pushingthelimits.live, at PTL Radio Show. Thank you so much for being here, and what a busy news day we have. Also, programming note, we got some big guests lined up, not just here in a moment. One of my favorite comics from the Howard Stern Show, Craig Gass, is going to be joining us. But coming up tomorrow, Bernie Sanders and Adam Kinzinger will be joining us on the show. Some big guests here today and tomorrow. Look forward to that. We're going to talk about Jack Smith and this new 150-plus page document. We are going to get to that. Also going to talk about this despicable and disgusting story out of the Daily Mail. They're saying that the second gentleman allegedly assaulted his ex-girlfriend, but it's such a joke because there's not only no evidence, but the actual alleged victim has not come forward. There's no civil case. We'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit as well. And like I said, a lot to get to today. And of course, we'll be taking your phone calls a little bit later on in the program. But I said, let's start off the show with one of my pals who I grew up with watching. He's very politically, I guess you could say, savvy. He's been in studio before. He's from the Howard Stern Show. Actor, comedian extraordinaire. It's great to have on Craig Gass joining us to start the show. Craig, I appreciate you coming on, my friend. How are you?
Dude, I'll tell you why I'm coming on. You had me on the show once.
That's true.
And you bought me pizza for coming in once. And pizza is my love language. I just walked away going, guy bought a whole pizza. I can't believe he bought a whole pizza. And then there's like a couple slices left over, and you go, you take it. And I go, like half-assed. I half-assed went, you sure? Okay, cool. Like I gave you like a second, and you didn't reply in a second, and then I took off with the extra slices. So that's how easy it is. You got me now for life.
I owe you another pizza. Oh, I got you for life. Okay, good. You're saving me some money. I appreciate you coming on, Craig. I really do. We talk about politics. I've talked about politics with you off the air. What did you make of that vice presidential debate, by the way? I'm curious the other night.
Couple things. One, I genuinely liked seeing two guys compliment each other and saying, hey, you know what? I agree with you on that. You know what? I actually agree with you on that point. And there was a moment when Waltz mentioned his kid had witnessed a school shooting, and J.D. Vance very sincerely said, I didn't know that your kid had witnessed a school shooting. I'm really sorry to hear that. And I thought that was great. Wasn't as, I just think that's a refreshing energy to put into this when we've just become so divided, and it creates a hostility amongst the masses when people like Trump are continually crapping. I almost cursed there. Continually crapping on citizens. I mean, that's unprecedented in U.S. history to have a leader continually crapping publicly on Americans. Yeah, and it just causes more and more of a divide, and so I like that. I do think it's odd. There's one thing that I've been hyper focused on that really blows my mind, and that is the continuous narrative that 4 years of Kamala Harris's policies have failed when the vice president does not set policies. That is such a weird thing
Yeah.
that conservatives keep putting out there. I don't know if I ever told you this. I am and have been obsessed with conservative media since I was a kid. And I mean, listening to 5 to 10 hours of conservative talk radio a week for
that'd be torture.
I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it because when I was a kid, I might have said this on your show. When I was a kid, my late night program schedule was Johnny Carson, followed by I was living in Tucson at the time. Love Connection would come on for 30 minutes, and then late night with David Letterman. And all of a sudden, Love Connection's off the air.
Right.
And there's this show, and it's just a heavy set guy at a desk with a studio full of what looks like every boss I've ever had in my life. And he's crapping on the newly elected president of the United States, Bill Clinton. He's got 30 minutes. He just craps on Clinton for 30 minutes a night. His name was Rush Limbaugh. And I couldn't understand why this was allowed to happen. Not understanding that at the time, the fairness doctrine had just been imploded, and that gave way to programming that could be like a Rush Limbaugh, and a year or two later, Fox News launched. And I've been obsessed with how conservative media frames the reality that we live in today.
That's a good point. Yeah.
As Jon Stewart pointed out a couple days ago, they have been able to create a alternate universe now that close to half of our country lives in. An alternate universe that sees what's going on in the world today through a different lens.
You're so right. You're so right. And even I'm going to talk about this on the show, the hurricane relief, where Joe Biden put in for relief even before the hurricane got there. And Kamala Harris made a statement saying every individual is going to be receiving $650, which is, by the way, the maximum allowed by FEMA. And the reason why it's the maximum is because Joe Biden has been asking for more funds, and Republicans have been shooting it down. Yet it's the Republicans that are on social media today that are claiming, only $650. I mean, Craig, you can't make this stuff up. It's wild, man. It's crazy. I want to ask you a question because you've performed in front of tens of thousands of people. I would imagine any performer gets nervous, right? Did you feel like Tim Walz was nervous on that debate stage?
Yeah, I think because it's a unique experience. I get very comfortable doing what I do, but there's some experiences where I get a little more nervous because it's outside my comfort zone.
Right.
And sometimes you only get one shot at it. So I have to imagine. I've seen Walz look. I mean, God, I got to give that dude a lot of credit. That dude has not only come off as super comfortable in his own skin at these rallies over the last couple months, he manages to put out this energy of God, what a real relatable, just Midwest guy. And it's been tough to demonize that. And I've seen attempts, because again, I'm obsessed with conservative radio and I'm obsessed with conservative media. So they're attempting to say things like, after a rally, did you see the way he walked up to his wife and shook her hand? Didn't give her a hug, shook her hand, and shook her hand. Like that.
It's absurd.
That's the best you've got.
I know it's insanity. It's absolute insanity, no question.
I want to ask though, are you asking that question because you felt like Tim was nervous?
I felt like he was a little nervous. I like Tim Walz a lot, as you do, but I felt like he could have come at JD Vance a little bit more. Like when you don't answer who won the 2020 election, when you say we need to harden our schools with stronger doors and windows, I just felt like Tim Walz was nervous and he was thinking about the next thing he was going to say instead of being in the moment. I felt like Kamala Harris against Donald Trump was in the moment. She listened to everything he said. She reacted. She laughed at him. She gave just enough pushback and facts. And I felt like Tim Walz, for lack of a better term, blew some opportunities. And I felt like he was a little bit nervous. I liked Tim Walz, but I wanted to see a better performance. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I feel like over time he started to relax a little more. He seemed very tight in the first 20 minutes.
Correct.
I even noticed a little bit of tightness on Kamala Harris on her debate in the
Sure.
beginning. And I felt like, because I mean, the two of them, and you can say the same for Trump and Vance.
Hmm.
They know how important this moment is, and the great thing about Trump is that he will not take outside advice. So you're just waiting for him to snap, and holy cow, did he
Yeah.
snap on that? They're eating the dogs, and my God, that got fact checked up and down. And
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with watching conservative media to see what they say about it, and they will not acknowledge what has been discovered since then and where the sources
Right.
of those stories have come
That's
from.
what's so despicable, Craig, about all of this. If you're just joining us, Craig Gass from the Howard Stern Show, actor, comedian extraordinaire. All right, Craig, you're the perfect person to ask this question since you've been on the Howard Stern Show for years, and I've been watching it for years. I said on Don Lemon's show the other night, I said Kamala Harris should do the Howard Stern Show the way that Hillary did it, but she waited too long. She did it after the election. I thought it was a brilliant interview by Howard. I feel like she needs to do an interview like that. Now, I'd rather her do Stern than Joe Rogan, but she's struggling with people like us, right? Middle-aged white dudes. She's struggling in the polls. Why not do the Howard Stern Show? You're on the Howard Stern Show. You've been doing it for years. Do you think Harris should do the Howard Stern Show? If yes, why?
Yes, I think it would be helpful, but my God, I didn't even think until you brought up. I would push more for Joe Rogan because Joe's audience is more likely to vote against her. I think she should go into the lion's den and do Joe Rogan's because weird thing has been happening over the last 5 years since COVID started. And it's very strange. People who are even mildly conservative hate Howard now. They hate him.
That's true.
And I hear it from people all the time. Howard talks about it on the air, that he's tired of getting the hate mail. And it's just, we've become such a divided country. Not only are they hateful of him, anyone who's mildly conservative, they also misunderstand who Howard is. And it's all based on this misinformation age we live in today, where it's like, Howard has changed. Howard has changed. Howard has been the same person. Oh, now he's so in the tank with the government and COVID. No, Howard has been a germaphobe, a massive germaphobe, and unreasonable germaphobe for decades. There's been years and years of shows where anyone who's got if Gary goes in the studio and has a tickle in his throat, Howard goes, "What is it? Are you sick? What was that? Did you just cough? Get the hell! You're gonna make me sick, and then the show's gonna end. You get the hell!" Like, he freaks out about anyone who shows any signs of having a cold, a flu, anything, and he overreacts to that stuff. So when the pandemic kicked in, it was very natural for him to go, "All right, everybody go home. See you later." And he hasn't been in the studio now in 4 years.
And the analogy being, he hasn't changed his political views either.
No, not at all. He's always been pro-gun. He's always highlighted Republicans and Democrats on his show. He ran on a libertarian ticket at one point with the promise to execute felons and use their dead bodies in potholes to help smooth out the roads. Yeah. So, which I can see conservatives getting behind. And to be honest, there's a lot of things that I feel most people are agreeable to in the middle. And that's where I feel like most people live, is in the middle. But everything has become so polarized over the last so many years since Trump showed up. And well, actually, no, it goes back further than that. I noticed some unfortunate behavioral changes amongst people when Obama showed up, and then Obama really made people lose their minds. And then Fox News and conservative radio kept pushing, he's not even a Christian. And they just slowly beat this drum for 8 years of Obama, that people were so nuts that when Trump showed up, it's like, yes, a guy who makes sense, America. That is just symbolism and bald eagles and humping the flag and while not paying attention to the tax plan that he put into place. And oh my God, he just made rich people so much richer and put money in his own pocket. And it's all right in front of you. everything's right in front of you, and he's just taking advantage of it. So
You
I'm
are.
sorry, I'm going
No.
off the.
No, you're right. You're
off
everything you. No, you're not. Everything you said, I agree with, Craig. You're 100% right on that. Hey, I wanted to ask you what gigs you got coming up. What you got going on in the future here that we can talk about?
I am starting a residency at Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Oh, congratulations!
The
That's
new
awesome.
comedy club here in Las Vegas at the Sphere. Well, it's down the road from the Sphere. It's right by the Link.
Right.
And kicking off on Thanksgiving. I'll be doing weekends every couple of months through Thanksgiving of 2025. I've got two comedy specials coming out. The first one is me just making fun of Kiss for an hour. That's the whole show. It's just me making fun of Kiss for an hour. And then I'll be on the road a lot. All the info's at getgas.com, getgas with 2 S's.com. I will be on the road around the world for the next foreseeable future, for the next year or two, promoting these shows. And
that is awesome.
A cool documentary that's being worked on right now about an old roommate of mine.
Oh, cool.
It's going to be Netflix. A guy by the name of Mitch Hedberg, who was a great stand-up comedian who died way too young.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, and just watching the craziness. And I didn't even think about, I'm going back to Australia and New Zealand in November, and it didn't even dawn on me the night that I'm flying out is the night before the election. And I thought,
wow,
oh God,
I got a call from Australia yesterday. I had a caller calling in who was anti-Trump. Yeah, wow, that's wild. You are a busy man. I am so happy to hear you have a residency here in Vegas. By the way, I am addicted to Jimmy Kimmel's monologues. I think the guy's brilliant. I love his monologues. They're hilarious. Oh God, I watch them every day. Craig, I watched you at Jimmy Kimmel. You're one of the best stand-up comics around. I can't wait to see you again here. I'm so happy for your success and look forward to going to catching you again in Las Vegas. Craig, I really appreciate you coming on. Another pizza on me, buddy, next time I see you, okay?
And by the way, I just want to respond to what you said about Jimmy Kimmel.
Sure.
When someone like Trump is continually hammering on all of our social norms, we need someone like Jimmy Kimmel to continually hammer what's actually going on. And so when people get upset, it's like, well, that's not what Johnny Carson used to do. Did you see those clips come out of Johnny Carson that resurfaced of him crapping on Trump? It's like
he did it a lot.
Everyone knew it back then too. But so yes, I will accept the pizza, and I'll give you half a second to say, "Are you sure?" And I'll just say yes anyway. So
fair enough. Extra cheese. Craig, always appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming back on, my friend, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy. I'll see you.
Appreciate it. That's Craig Gass, everybody. Check out his website. He's got a new residency here in Vegas from the Howard Stern show. That's why I asked him the questions about Kamala Harris possibly going on Howard Stern. Let's get to business, okay? I appreciate Craig taking the time. So let me start off by saying this, because this is really pissing me off. The Daily Mail came out with a hit piece story about the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff. And they put out this story without any victim, without any names, without any quotes from the victim, alleged, and a few alleged friends of the alleged victim, if that makes sense. That's a lot of alleged stuff. Just some quotes. No names have been provided. And they make the claim that Emhoff allegedly struck his ex-girlfriend in the face. There is no police report. There is no civil suit. There is no alleged victim's name or statement. There are no charges. There is no evidence, but they put out this story because several friends, allegedly, that are unnamed, said that this took place. And let me be very clear. The Daily Mail is scum. They are scum. I guess my friends told me that, unnamed. So what are right-wing entities and right-wing media doing with this story? They're talking about it. They're asking, why isn't CNN covering it? Why isn't MSNBC covering it? Where are the because there's no credibility to the story. Keep in mind, the people that are saying, why isn't the mainstream media covering this story, are the same people that don't talk about the 25 women, actual alleged victims that have come forward with names, that have said that Donald Trump sexually assaulted and or raped them, including his ex-wife, in a court deposition. These are the same people that don't cover Donald Trump's liable sexual abuse case with E. Jean Carroll that was proven in a courtroom. They don't want to talk about any of that stuff. But what they're talking about today is a trash Daily Mail story alleging that the second gentleman struck his ex-girlfriend with no victim statement, no names, and just a few random people that claim it's true. It is a trash story. It is disgusting. And for any of these right-wingers out there that are even covering this story with any sense of credibility to the story at all, you all are disgusting. Meanwhile, you support a liable rapist. You support a 34-count felon. You support the man that has 5 kids with 3 different women. You support the man that has not been honorable, truthful, and has cheated every woman ever in his life. You support the man that is a liable sexual abuser. His own ex-wife in court documents said that he raped her. But you want to cover a story like this? And you want to say Kamala Harris slept her way to the top? You all are despicable. And you're disgusting. And while all this stuff is going on, and you have right-wingers out there that are saying, why is Kamala Harris and Joe Biden only giving $650 to those that are suffering from this hurricane, when they're so stupid they don't even understand that Joe Biden has been pushing multiple times more money from FEMA to these victims, and Republicans are the ones that vote against it. Donald Trump is the one that put in a maximum of $500, and yet Republicans have the gall to blame Kamala Harris? Makes absolutely no sense. Here's a guy in Joe Biden who put everything in place before the hurricane even got there. And they're saying they spent time on the beach and, Harris didn't do anything and Biden didn't do anything. It's all lies. It's all BS and it's all lies. And while that's going on, we have this 150 plus page document that has come out in regards to January 6th. New information that clearly shows, in my opinion, that Donald Trump broke the law, and certainly Jack Smith would agree with me, that Donald Trump was willing to and did break the law because he wanted to remain in power. Andrew Weissman is a legal analyst, and I wanted to play for you his legal breakdown on what this new document entails.
Direct evidence against the former president. Conversations directly with him by lawyers and by Mike Pence himself. At one point, one of the lawyers tells him that there is no proof of any fraud that would be outcome determinative. That claim to the otherwise, or he uses an expletive, says it's BS. He has recounted conversations with Pence himself, describing that the claims of election fraud that the president is making are not true. So this is direct evidence. There also is direct evidence of the president saying, I don't care about the details. I don't care that we would lose in court. And when he's warned that there would be violence on page 8 of the filing, when he's warned that if he continues this, that there could be violence, he says, make them riot. That's a quote. Make them riot, do it. Those are quotes from the submission in terms of the cavalier attitude of the former president in connection with the anticipated violence. And we all could see on January 6th exactly what happened and the violence that ensued.
Sure, unless you're a huge MAGA supporter wearing the blinders, we know what took place on January 6th. We know that January 6th doesn't happen. If not for Donald Trump lying over and over again, he still does to this very day, that he won the election in a landslide. People died that day. Officers died in the days and months after. We know that 140 officers were injured that day. But he calls those people who beat police officers with their own batons patriots and hostages. How complicit can you be? How can you not put at least some responsibility on Donald Trump for why January 6th happened. And we're also learning that when they were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," when they were wanting to treat Mike Pence like they treated Saddam Hussein in Iraq after he was captured, Donald Trump said, "So what?" It's quoted in this document that Jack Smith put out and is now public. The judge allowed it to become public. So if you don't remember what took place on January 6th, you don't remember the sounds and what Donald Trump said on that day, what it sounded like from dispatch, from Capitol Security that day, have a listen to this.
We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
It does look like we're going to have an ad hoc march stepping off here. There's a crowd surge heading east.
Mike Pence, I hope you're going to stand up for the good of our Constitution and for the good of our country. And if you're not, I'm going to be very disappointed in you. I will tell you right now.
We're going to give riot warnings as soon as the outriders here. We're going to give riot warnings. We're going to try to get compliance, but this is now effectively a riot.
49 hours declaring it a riot.
5 to 50 be advised, trying to bridge to get to the Capitol. Breach of the Capitol! Breach of the Capitol to the upper level! Look at this vantage point, man. Trying to have the alphabet. We're trying to have the alphabet now. All the house members, they're all walking over now to the tunnel. We need to move down.
Happy.
If we lose any more time, we may lose the ability to leave. So if we're going to leave, we need to do it now. We lost the line. We lost the line. All PD, get back. All PD, get back at the alphabet. Each 208 with 4 members. The doors barricade. There's people flooded the hallways outside. We have no way out. Officers still remaining on the House floor. So we have secured the members on the other side. Copy. Get them up.
And if I win, I will be looking very, very strongly about pardons. And I mean full pardons with an apology to the many, an apology. They were peaceful people. These were great people. The crowd was unbelievable. And I mentioned the word love, the love in the air. I've never seen anything like it.
The sounds of what took place and the statements that Donald Trump has made that day and days, weeks, months, even years after. January 6th was not a tourist visit. People died that day. A woman was trampled on the steps. Ashley Babbitt was shot because she was an imbecile who was brainwashed, just like so many others that were there that day, and it's a very sad story. Brian Sipnick died the next day, and there are still deniers out there that say his death the next day had nothing to do with what happened the day prior. Those people are also idiots. Several officers committed suicide months later. Their families said they were never the same since that day, and they changed. And my heart goes out to them, families and friends. That day is not a day that shed this country in a very good light. That day does not happen if Donald Trump isn't lying about the 2020 election. And even now, on a debate stage, his vice presidential running mate, J.D. Vance, who is a complete coward and an imbecile and only speaks to one person, that's Donald Trump, refused to answer the question if Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. Make no mistake about it, this report that came out, bombshell after bombshell. If you don't believe me, there's plenty of others, legal analysts, including Harry Litman. I want you to listen to him. He's the former Deputy Assistant Attorney General who says he believes the revelations will have an impact on the 2024 presidential election.
Well, my number one takeaway is that it was actually uncovered. Trump has tried very hard to keep all this information from seeing the light of day. Now it is out. The cat's out of the bag. He can't try to appeal or keep it from being there. So it has an immediate impact as sort of an October surprise in the election. In the substance, we have all kinds of new evidence, bombshells, really a fusillade of shock and awe from Smith, starting with Trump statements. He wasn't in front of the grand jury, but people were who heard him. They've given many of his statements. They're all going to be admissible at trial. They show he knew just what was going on. Second, Mike Pence statements. Remember, he wasn't there on January 6th, but he testified to the grand jury, and he lays out really a chilling campaign by Trump to make him try to break the law. And finally, on the Pence point, two more things, actually, Major. We know that when Trump, and it's the evidence is there on page 75, when Trump was saying to the crowd, Mike Pence has to do the right thing, he already knew Pence had decided against it, meaning he knew the crowd would be completely riled up when they found out that Pence wasn't going to do it. Finally, the issue on law. Does Pence evidence come in? The argument here by the special counsel on page 90 of the brief is it should come in because Pence is basically acting in this exchange as the head of the Senate rather than as Trump's sort of second in command. And that's the argument why it fits in the Supreme Court's rubric.
There you go. By the way, a side note here for you MAGA morons. All this evidence didn't come from Democrats. Stuff didn't come from the left. The evidence came from Republicans. It came from the people who worked with Donald Trump. This came from Trump loyalists. How can any of you forget that? This didn't come from liberals, didn't come from the far left, it didn't come from people with Trump derangement syndrome. No, this came from people who worked underneath Donald Trump, who were loyal to the man. Doesn't that mean something to some of you? Doesn't that give this a lot of credibility? So what is Donald Trump's reaction to this? Nicknames for Jack Smith. Denial, denial, denial. Here's what Donald Trump said yesterday when asked about this new report.
We know that special counsel Jack Smith had filed court documents calling your actions in the aftermath of the 2020 election, quote, a private criminal effort. Can you respond to that?
He's a deranged person. I call him deranged Jack Smith. He just lost the big documents case. That was the biggest of them all. They said the documents case, and they said that was the toughest of them all. Let me tell you, we just won it, and it was won strongly and completely. and it was a total victory in Florida. And he is a person who is trying, and he works for Kamala and he works for Joe. This was a weaponization of government, and that's why it was released 30 days before the election. And it's nothing new in there, by the way, nothing new. They rigged the election. I didn't rig the election. They should have never allowed the information to come before the public. But they did that because they want to hurt you with the election. It's pure election interference to get an incompetent person like Kamala. She's grossly incompetent. She's more incompetent than Biden to get these people elected.
Right, it's election interference. Funny, I didn't hear Donald Trump talking about that in 2016 when Comey said a week before the elections that Hillary Clinton was under investigation. Remember that? For the server, which, by the way, found nothing, no guilt, not only no convictions, but she was never charged with anything. I didn't hear Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans out there talking about election interference, and there are plenty of people out there that still say to this very day that that was probably the difference in why she lost. No, Jack Smith is trying to get this case back in, not for election interference, like you say, because he wants you held accountable, just like so many other Americans want you held accountable. Babbitt would be alive today. The woman who was trampled, she would be alive today. I believe Brian Sitnick would be alive today. Those officers who committed suicide would be alive today. Those 140 plus officers that were injured. Some of them lost fingers. Some of them have traumatic brain injury. Don't even get me started with that when it comes to soldiers. You call TBI just minor headaches. Donald Trump has never been held to account for basically anything in his entire life. The womanizing, Epstein Island, the despicable behavior, and in my opinion, crimes. He's never been held to account for anything. The chickens are finally coming home to roost, but the only way that he's going to have to stand trial for these charges in the future is if he doesn't win in November, because if he wins in November, this is squashed. Remember that when you go to the voter booth in November in around 30 days. All right, here's what we're going to do. We are going to take a quick break, and I did promise we will take some phone calls on the other side. We will be taking some calls on the other side. Before we do so, I want to remind you all to check out my new website, which is pushingthelimits.live. Again, that website is pushingthelimits.live. You go to my website, sign up for the free newsletter. We sell merchandise on there. You name it, shirts, hats, beanies, mugs, you name it, we got it at affordable prices. If you want to really support the show, do that. If you don't want to buy merchandise, totally cool. We also have a donate button right there on the front page. $5, $10, $20 a month. Whatever you can afford, we absolutely appreciate. And I want to take the time right now, while you're hopefully going on pushingthelimits.live, to read you an email I received yesterday. And this is why I do what I do. This is why I work really hard to provide you guys with this program every day during the week. So I got an email from a guy named Emmanuel, and I told him I was going to be reading part of his email on the show today. He says, "Hey, Brian, I love the show. Thank you for the show. It helps me disarm the maggots and bigots while educating those willing to have a civil conversation." He said, "Last night, my father-in-law tried using that guy in office isn't doing anything to help those hurricane victims. Before I hit him with fact after fact, his response was, well, maybe I'm getting the wrong info. And he said, well, yeah, no, you know what. He says, thanks again for all that you do and your PTL team network. Let's win this and get the orange man out of office. Well, thank you, Emmanuel. I'm glad I was able to help you, Emmanuel, in dealing with your father-in-law, who seems like he's at least willing to listen, and that maybe you were able to change his mind a little bit, and I really appreciate your email. That's why I do what I do here. Yeah, I want to inform, I want to educate, I want to have good conversation. But if I can help some of you deal with some of these maggots, as Emmanuel said, then that means a lot to me, actually. And I really appreciate it. Thank you, Emmanuel, for listening. All right, now it's time to hear from you. 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
In these uncertain times, we need a leader who puts policy over politics.
I'm Ron Quince. I am beyond the bickering and what we see today. I am running to fight for your values, faith, family, and freedom.
Ron Quince stands for safe borders, lower taxes, and lower prices.
Let's take our country back, one community, one vote at a time. I am Ron Quince, and I'm asking for your vote because every vote matters. I am Ron Quince, and I approve this message.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com. And get started.
Hi, Doug Basham here, and first I'd like to thank my good friend and colleague Brian Shapiro for letting me tell you on his show that we are coming back. Beginning on Monday, October the 7th, I'll be back on in my original time slot, 11 a.m. to 12 noon Pacific time. That's the hour right before Brian. So, 1 hour of me, 2 hours of Brian. Does it get any better than that? I think not. So join me starting this Monday, October the 7th, Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon Pacific, right here on KSHP. Or if you'd like to watch the show, go to my website, DougBasham.com, and click on the YouTube link. Either way, be there.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. Please check out my friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill, the official gaming bar of the Pushing the Limits radio show. Great promotions, including this month every Sunday from 12 p.m. to 8 a.m. If you play on a machine, you earn 350 points. You get $50 in free slot play. What an awesome promotion. Plenty other great promotions this month as well. Please check them out. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Great food, great atmosphere, great gaming. And tell them that I sent you. Jackson's Bar and Grill. I did promise we would be getting back to the phone lines. Before we do so, I just want to remind you all, programming note for you, a couple great guests that we have on the show scheduled to be on tomorrow. Representative Adam Kinzinger is going to be joining us. Also, Senator Bernie Sanders will be joining us on the show. So two big names joining us tomorrow, obviously both all in supporting Kamala Harris. And I've always wanted to interview both of them. I've never interviewed Kinzinger or Bernie Sanders. So tomorrow's going to be a very interesting show and really looking forward to it. And hopefully you can join us for that. We've been talking about Jack Smith's, I think it was like a 164-page report, if I'm not mistaken, that was released publicly yesterday. Certainly a lot of bombshells in there, and then Trump doing what he normally does, just the nicknames. That's all it is. And you got this stupid article, and I think the second gentleman should sue the Daily Mail, because I'm not believing it for 1 second. There is no victim named. The victim hasn't come forward. There is no written statement from the victim. There's no police report, no civil suit. No charges, nothing. Just a couple random alleged friends of the victim, all unnamed, by the way, by the Daily Mail, claiming that Doug Emhoff allegedly struck and physically assaulted his ex-girlfriend. It is absurd. It is ridiculous, and I hope Doug Emhoff files a lawsuit against Daily Mail. They are a trash organization as far as I am concerned. All right, number to call, 702-221-7283. Let's start off with Wayne. Wayne is first up on PTL. Hey, Wayne, where are you calling from?
Hey, how you doing? I'm Fort Lauderdale. I new recruit to your show. I've been trying to catch it every day now.
Thank you.
So anyway, I'm going to try to make this, and there were so many things already in your show in the first 5 minutes that have got my blood pressure up. So I'm going to try to make this in like bullet form if I can. First of all, Vance and the whole Springfield thing. I mean, he admitted that he made all that up with, I had constituents that called me. I had several people who told me this was going on. No names, no facts. This is their their operating manner, the way they go. They lie. They just throw the little bits of facts out there.
Yeah, but why didn't? But I have
face,
to ask you, why didn't Tim Walz hit that home in the debate? I mean, he briefly brought it up. I was very disappointed that Tim Walz didn't hit that home more because let's be honest, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump are directly responsible. Besides the people that made the bomb threats, besides those people, Trump and Vance incited those threats to happen. And I'm just surprised that Walz didn't bring that up more. I was disappointed. That's all.
Yeah, I agree, but I think debating style has many functions, right? It's not just about getting the facts out there. It's about making, introducing himself who Walz is.
Right.
But that's I think that's kind of beside the point. I think the real issue here is this new Jack Smith release is not going to change a thing. His base is already baked. They are a cult. They will follow him no matter what. He's already a 34 felon, 34 count felon, and that hasn't changed the needle.
Oh no, you're right.
All.
You're right. You're right. And speaking of changing the needle, my friend, and I do appreciate the call. I got to get to some other callers. I don't think the vice presidential debate moves the needle at all. I just was hoping that Tim Walz would have had a better performance. Thought he did okay. I don't think it moves the needle anyway. And when Kamala Harris calls herself the underdog, which she very well probably is, you need to win a debate like that. That's all I'm saying. And I appreciate your call, and I agree with everything you said there. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. I believe coming up next here is Nelson. Nelson is next up on PTL. Hi, Nelson. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Yo, Brian, you want to know what's disgusting? Is that he didn't even care about the safety of Mike Pence.
Right, correct.
He said, so what? I mean, he could have got murdered. Who cares?
Yep.
And then he said, get them to riot. Do it.
Who cares? He said that's the new revelation you're speaking of in the report that went public yesterday. And you're absolutely right. What Nelson is saying is when Donald Trump,
it was a lie.
Right.
He knew everything that he was saying was a lie. He knew he was going to lose in court. He knew it was all bullshit. And he still went out and caused one of the black eye in our history.
Yeah.
And it's just, and you have folks who, I think this is really going to sway independent voters, actually undecideds in the middle.
Nelson, I hope so.
This is just, this is just disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. And you know what? He don't deserve to wear that American pin on his suit. The man is a disgrace.
Well, he doesn't deserve to be out in public. He belongs in jail, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that died because of him. So, Nelson, I'm with you 150%, my man. Is the rest of the country? Probably not. I hope you're right. I hope this flips things a little bit in Kamala Harris's direction. But the most important thing here when it comes to January 6th is there has to be accountability. There has to be accountability. Now, many of those insurrectionists, some of them are still in jail. That's great. They're not hostages and they're not patriots. What they are is they're felons and criminals. That's what they are. Donald Trump, by the way, already a felon for other reasons. Thank you for the call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. if you want to be a part of the conversation. All right, who are we going to next here? Why don't we go to Janelle? Janelle is next up on PTL. Hi, Janelle. Thanks for calling in to PTL. What's on your mind?
Hi, I'm stunned when I heard all of that. That's just, it's heartbreaking to me. And anybody I was born in Canada. I'm a dual citizen of the United States and Canada. And I moved down here about 14 years ago. And when I hear that, it truly, it breaks my heart. I don't mean to be melodramatic or anything like that, but because I love this country. I'm a patriot of this country. Mm-hmm. And anybody who hears that and sees what happened, this should break their heart.
Yeah, it should, but it doesn't. It doesn't. These maggots, they don't care. They really don't. They don't care.
And it's stunning. Yeah. It's absolutely stunning to me because, I love this country. I would take our arms and fight for this country and fight for for everything it stands for. So when I see that people are ripping at the fabric of what makes this country so great, mm-hmm. It's stunning to me. I would never, if you would have asked anybody, even 10 years ago, is this even possible?
Well, Janelle,
we'd be like,
it's
hell
simple.
no.
Yeah, you're right. Hell no. But, Janelle, it's even, it's incredible to me because it's so easy because I've been doing this for years. The playbook from the right-wing idiots out there, the imbeciles out there, if you bring up January 6th, if they're not calling it a tourist visit or saying that it was an inside job like that snake, Vivek Ramaswamy, they'll talk about Black Lives Matter protests. The two have nothing in common. One has nothing to do with the other. And by the way, I've never heard a prominent Democrat in office say it's okay to attack a police officer. I've never heard a prominent Democrat say it's okay to light things on fire and steal, even though we know some of those agitators on Black Lives Matter protests were agitators that were from right-wing fringe groups. But, I've never heard anybody on the left call someone who attacks a police officer a patriot or a hostage that happens to be in jail a convicted felon. That's what the leader of the Republican Party has said. Make no mistake about it. The leader of the Republican Party has said, Orange Man himself, that all those people that are in jail right now, those who defecated on Nancy Pelosi's desk, destruction of property, those who attacked and assaulted police officers, spraying them with pepper spray, beating them with their own batons, Donald Trump still calls those people hostages and patriots. Think about that. Thank you for the call, Janelle. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Jack. Jack is next on PTL. What's up, Jack?
Yo, Brian, what's going on, man?
Hey,
listen, I know that the top topic that people are going to be calling in about, with Donald Trump and his, the newfound evidence. Everybody knows all the things that he's capable of, and these things shouldn't shock anybody, but still people are going to talk about it. What I wanted to talk about with you is you had that woman, Tina Peters,
yes,
on your show, friggin' flake. I watched her sentencing hearing today, and I urge you to go watch it because it's like having MAGA on the stand, and the judge let her rail about her conspiracies and this and that. This is a woman that's flying around with Mike Pillow. This is an elected.
Well, I got some good news.
Clerk.
I got some good news. You might know this. 9 years.
9 years.
Yep, 9 years.
9 years. And I want people to talk about that because it'll discourage people from screwing around with. She's printing out people's clearances to go in. She had she enabled conspirators to go in and tamper with voting machines.
Yep. So, by the way, if I could just add something into there, what you're saying, and he's talking about Tina Peters, who just was sentenced to 9 years in prison for fake electorate nonsense. She did this show. She just spoke in front of the judge earlier today before sentencing, and she claimed she was one of God's children, and that's why the judge shouldn't give her a harsh sentence. She also said that she has health issues and she has a specific mattress that she sleeps on. What an imbecile. Well, let me tell you something. I hope she enjoys eating grilled cheese off the radiator. That's a Sopranos reference. I hope that she enjoys her Bible, and you can read all those passages, and she can hold her Bible upside down, and she could say over and over again before she goes to sleep at night, Trump won, Trump won, Trump won. But she's going to be doing it behind bars.
Her face when she realized that Cheeto Jesus wasn't going to jump out of the sky and save her.
Right.
It's just unbelievable.
Well, she deserves it.
just trying to explain like all the things and all how she was trying to do it for the good. The judge at the end, Brian, I don't know if you've listened to it yet. What his final closing statement before sentencing or whatever, I urge everybody listening to go watch that. It's on YouTube. And it is just, he might as well be talking to every elected Republican, every MAGA person. He put them in their place by her claiming that she's a victim. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You have no respect for the law, for the judges, for court findings. What I've been saying all along, they don't care about the way they want to talk about the conspiracies. They want to talk about, and when it comes time to be in court and show your facts and they don't care about the findings. They don't care about the rules.
No, they don't care about it. How many people lives have been ruined because of Donald Trump? You're absolutely right. I mean, you got Rudy Giuliani's daughter that just did an interview on CNN yesterday. It was a great interview. I'd love to get her on this show. And she said her father, she lost her dad when he started hanging out with Donald Trump. She's worried that he's probably going to go to jail. I feel horrible for these families when you have these people that make these decisions. I just don't understand it. All right. Looking for MAGA callers, of course. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Herb. Herb is next up on PTL. Hello, Herb.
Hey, Brian. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Herb. Thank you for calling in.
Okay. Listen, I just want to ask you a question.
Sure, shoot.
And then I'll hang up.
No, don't hang up. Why are you going to do that, Herb? Come on.
No, I just want to ask you a question.
Okay, but hang on the line. Hang on the line, because you might not like my answer, and I want to hear your reaction. So can you hang on the line?
No, because we can't have a discussion.
So why are you calling into the show then? Well, hold on a second. Let's try to have.
I want to get your.
I will let you ask, Herb. Let's try to have a discussion. Okay, let's try to do that today. Okay, Herb.
I've tried for years.
Okay, Herb. Let's try to have a discussion. Let's try not to interrupt each other. I will do my part so long as you promise you will do yours. Okay, fair enough?
You'll pod me down.
Okay, Herb, if you interrupt me, I will. So I'll ask it again. Let's try to have a conversation. Is that fair, Herb? Do we have a verbal agreement?
No, we don't.
So you're just going to hang up the phone after asking a question?
Yeah, because I want to hear you.
Well, that's okay. Well, why can't you hear it by hanging on the line? Why do you have to hang up?
Because I want to make sure I hear it well, and I know that if we have a discussion, you're going to pod me down, and it's not going to be fair.
Herb, I will speak very slowly for you and distinctly, okay? But I would appreciate
I know all your techniques.
Okay, you know all my what's that? Telling the truth and going after MAGA for lying? Something tells me that you're not going to like my answer, and you're not going to be capable of debating.
Whether I like it
go
or
ahead.
not, I want to hear it.
I want to let everybody know that I am allowing Herb to stay on the line to have a discussion.
Okay.
My producer is not going to be hanging up on him. Herb is going to ask a question, which I will gladly allow him to do. But if Herb hangs up the phone, it's not us. I want to make that very, very clear to all the listeners out there. Okay, Herb, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, my question is, if Trump wins the election in November, do you think the liberals or the Democrats or portions of them will riot or, cause problems, protests and cause riots and things like that after the outcome if Trump wins?
Okay, hang on the line.
That's my question.
I think that's a very fair question to ask, and I will answer it honestly for you, Herb. First of all, I don't put it past, and then he hangs up the phone. What a shocker. What a coward. But I'm still going to answer his question. By the way, that was Herb that hung up the phone. There are people on the left that could be violent. Sure. There are people on the left that'll be very upset. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope Trump doesn't win. But Herb, here's the best way I can answer that question. I started off by saying it's possible. Democrats didn't storm the Capitol on January 6th. It wasn't Antifa. It was right-wingers and right-wing fringers, maybe like you, I don't know, who stormed the Capitol and tried to affect the outcome of a free and fair election. You see, back in 2016, Hillary Clinton conceded. So the real question that you should be asking yourself, Herb, and I would ask you the question now if you weren't such a coward and hanging up the phone, like so many of you MAGA people that call into the show that are not intellectually able to have a conversation. The question that you really should be asking is Donald Trump going to concede if he loses? You see, there's one candidate in this election that if they lose, they're going to concede. That's Kamala Harris. There will be a lot of people in this country, me being one of them, that will be very disappointed if Donald Trump gets back into the White House. I'm not going to be violent. And I would like to believe that we are not going to have an insurrection if Donald Trump wins. However, to the contrary, I think, and you could ask and listen to the FBI and threats that they already are receiving, that if Donald Trump loses in November, there could be another insurrection. I am more worried, Herb, of political violence coming from the right than I am the left. And if you're going to ask me why, I say January 6th. It's possible that there could be violent coming from the left. I'm not going to discount that. I hope it doesn't happen. I am more concerned about violence coming from the right. And if you actually had the intelligence and you actually had the guts for me to ask you that question, whether you agree or not, I would gladly ask you. But you don't, Herb. Just like many of my MAGA listeners out there that listen to this show every day, they'll talk smack on social media. I have lunatics on social media that say, Brian's show is over if Donald Trump wins. This is how stupid some of these people are. They have an IQ of like 20. First of all, many could make the argument that it's actually better for my show if Donald Trump wins. Now, I don't want that to happen. My show is going to be just fine. I'd rather Kamala Harris win. But many could make the argument my show is going to be even more popular if Donald Trump wins. So for you idiots out there that are saying your show is going to be over when Donald Trump wins in November. Well, Donald Trump lost in 2020. My show's been growing every single day since then, and my show will just be just fine, win or lose. I would say thank you for the call, Herb, but it wasn't much of a call because you hung up the phone like the coward that you are. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Nehemiah is next up on PTL. Hi, Nehemiah.
How you doing?
Hey, good. What's on your mind today?
Man, just keep doing what you're doing, man. I really appreciate your show, man. And keep bringing light to what's going on.
Thank you.
I'm out of Memphis. What scares me the most as a black male is why people cannot see the obvious as to what's going on with people like Trump, J.D. Vance, all these white ringers. It's baffling to me.
Yeah.
And I'm confused as to why people cannot see the truth. Like,
well, I can.
People
here's the best
are
answer.
scared of facts.
No, I agree. Here's the best answer, though, that I can give you, my man, which is they care more about remaining in power. They have sold their soul to Cheeto Jesus. All they care about is remaining in power, and they know that Donald Trump has a stronghold on the party. So because that's the case, they will not admit that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, right? They will not admit the obvious, the blatant lies, and they take the red meat coming from the far right, and they'll continue to do so until Donald Trump is no longer the leader of the party.
Right. And what's more confusing is his main supporters are people he has no interest in helping. Because if he was going to help these people, he would have did that in his first term.
Right.
He would have gave them tax breaks instead of the top 2%.
Right.
He would
you're
make
right.
sure that they kept their health care. He wouldn't have tried to
He hates his supporters for the most part. I mean, the
supporters.
dumb, middle-aged, uneducated, ill-informed white supporters. He hates them. And if you don't believe me, I know you do. But if MAGA supporters out there don't believe me, go take a look at Mar-a-Lago. Does it look like you? No, it's a bunch of billionaires, a bunch of billionaire idiots that hang out at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, those are the people that Donald Trump surrounds himself with. He doesn't surround himself around everyday, normal, hardworking Americans.
Well, see, this is what bothers me as well. It's the number of black male supporters that he have. And what's really more disturbing is he thinks that we relate to him because he's a criminal. And it's telling us that, hey, black people relate to criminals. And that's bothersome to me.
Insulting. He said it in that barbershop interview where he was asked about it, and he said that he felt like black people could sort of relate to him better because of his mugshot. I mean, how insulting to black America. How insulting. It's insulting to me. I can't imagine how insulting it must be to black Americans in this country.
That's right.
Yeah.
And now your problem is you have a problem with women, and this is your biggest problem with Kamala. It's not that she's not intelligent. It's not that she's not educated. her problem is that she's a woman, and that's the problem with most of these.
She's also a woman of color, and
That's right.
I asked this. She's got my vote. She's got your vote. I'm not worried about people like you. I'm worried about people in America, and I asked them the question: as much as some of them might hate Donald Trump, are they willing to vote for a woman? Are they willing to vote for a black woman? We're going to find out. We are going to find out. And if the answer is yes, and we get a yes, then that's going to be a very emotional day for a lot of people in this country. If the answer is no, we're going to be disappointed, my friend. But I appreciate you calling out of Memphis. Man, I'm in the mood for some barbecue today. Memphis is great. Thank you for the call, my man. Great phone call. I appreciate you listening and calling in. 702-221-7283. Hey, Herb. Hey, Herb. You see how he didn't hang up the phone? You see how we had a conversation? Doesn't matter whether we agree or not. He didn't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt him. We had a civil conversation. Herb. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next on PTL. What's up, Mark?
I have a quick comment and a question.
Okay.
My comment is real quick. I'm surprised Waltz never even stated that Kamala is not the border czar. Not one time did he say that the whole debate. And Vance just keep repeating it.
Agree.
I don't get that.
I agree. That's one of many points that I have made. You are absolutely right. It's another missed opportunity.
Now, my question, well, it's more of a ruling that the Supreme Court made.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of afraid of it.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of research. They ruled that it will be up to the states to decide if electors are punished or not if they vote against the popular vote of that state.
Yeah.
It's up to the states.
Mm-hmm.
There are 32 states that have laws in place that make electors cast their ballots for the popular vote of the state. There are 18 states that have no such law. Electors can vote for whoever they feel like.
Right.
And that is worrying me, because what happens when they're doing the casting and 18 states, let's say 7 of them voted for Kamala and all of them vote for Trump.
Okay, so Mark, I hear what you're saying. That is also a worry for me as well. And I'm not going to sit here and say I don't understand where you're coming from, and I'm not going to sit here and say I don't discount what you're saying. Eyes are going to be everywhere. I would like to think that we are going to have a free and fair election. We always have. I would like to think that we're not going to have shenanigans. I would like to think that there are Republicans out there that understand there is going to be consequences. There might be some Tina Peters running around. That's also very possible. I would like to think after what happened on January 6th, I'd like to think about those that have been held to account. At least still, there are still cases out there for a fake electorate scheme that will not happen again. And I would like to think, even though you have concerns, Mark, and they're valid concerns, that we are going to have a free and fair election in November. But always goes to what I say, go back in the same circle. It doesn't mean we can't get out there and vote. Got to do your due diligence and vote. 702. Thank you, Mark. 702-221-7283. Let's go to James. James is next up on PTL. Hey, James, what's going on?
Good evening. I don't think the debate is going to move the needle at all either, but we all look for a loser in a debate, and it's hard to find a loser in this last debate. J.D. Vance did exactly what MAGA expected him to do. Mm-hmm. Don't answer the questions and lie. I don't know whether they were prepared for him to claim a First Amendment right to lie. I think that may have been surprising to us all, as he claimed Kamala Harris was trying to censor his First Amendment right to lie. That was a concern. I think once Tim Walz realized he's running for vice president and not for governor of Minnesota, which I thought he was doing most of the debate, unless he thought that what was accomplished in Minnesota would translate across America. So much was about Minnesota, but he did, I think, make the major blow when he stated it's about who's going to support our democracy and who's going to support Donald Trump.
Right.
I was looking for more fire from him.
I was too.
But
yep.
I think he spent too much time focusing on running for governor of Minnesota.
Here's the thing. I agree with everything you just said, and you've heard my commentary on this, but here's what we need to do now, right? Yes, we're a little disappointed. However, moving forward, there's 5 weeks to go. I have pleaded and I have begged with the Harris campaign to do more interviews. Tim Walz, get out there as well. I've heard from the campaign that Walz is going to be doing more interviews. I know that Harris has a 60 Minutes interview. That is not enough. I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again today. I said it on Don Lemon's show the other night, and I'll say it again today. Harris needs to wake up and do Fox and Friends. After Fox and Friends, do the Joe Rogan show, do the Howard Stern show, go on Newsmax for 10 minutes, do a Fox News interview, go everywhere. If I didn't think she was capable, I wouldn't be saying this. She is. This is an intelligent woman. She's articulate. She's very able to be doing these interviews. They're being too careful with her, and I'm afraid that it could cost her the election. I hope I'm wrong. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Gina. Gina is next up on PTL. Hey, Gina, where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Gina. I'm calling from Modesto, California.
Modesto. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Gina. What's on your mind today?
I'm so frustrated, beyond frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
I've been following elections and politics since I was a very young girl. And I'll tell you what, Kamala's got me so fired up right now. And I'm so fired up against MAGA. They've just got me going. But I'd like to make a point. You know, this is something that came up in the debate with Kamala and Donald.
Yeah.
You know how he keeps saying all these rapists and killers and murderers are coming in across the border and nobody's doing anything about it?
Yeah.
Well, why doesn't she make a point of the fact all these mass shootings in the United States and in the schools have nothing to do with illegal aliens?
So you are absolutely
Why
right.
is nobody picking up on this?
Well, I've said this on the show before plenty of times, and I'm going to say it again. Per capita, you have a better chance of being the victim of a crime from an American citizen than you do somebody who's undocumented. That's number one. Number two, scare tactics. These Mexicans, they're rapists and they're bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people. Many of these MAGA Republicans make it sound like all these people are horrible people and they're going to rape your kids and you know, this is the scare tactics and the fear mongering. Okay. Now, I don't want bad people coming into this country, but the overwhelming majority of these people are not bad people. And even the people that are in this country legally, like, for example, the Haitian immigrants that are in this country legally. I'm going to play you some audio when we come back from break. Donald Trump wants all those people deported, even though they're legal Haitian immigrants that have done absolutely nothing wrong. So
he's stupid.
Yeah, well, he's more than stupid. I think, you know, I can deal with stupid people, but I don't deal with stupid people that affect my life or stupid people that are criminals, stupid people that sexually abuse women, stupid people that are despicable people. And now he's selling. It's interesting, right? Because he talks about how people can't afford eggs, but yet he's selling $100,000 watches. It's interesting, isn't it? 702-221-7283. Let's go to Tom. Tom is next. What's going on, Tom?
Hey, it's Tyrone. Your producer got it wrong.
Tyrone, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. First of all, hey, look, I really enjoy your show. I just stumbled onto it about 2 weeks ago.
Thank you.
And I love catching your YouTube thumbnails and stuff. Thank you. Really give it to them. Hey, look, first of all, I call these people to support Trump. A couple of things. I call these people to support Trump turds because it's like he crapped them out of his butt. You know, I call them Trump turds. That's the first thing. Second of all, you can't rationalize with these people. So I heard what a couple of previous callers said about talking about the school shootings and that no illegal immigrant has done that and different things. You cannot rationalize with irrational people. And with his supporters, what I've come to believe, and I think may be right, what his supporters and Republicans at large want to do is all about greed and grabbing power. So that's why somebody like Mike Pence, whose very life was put at risk by Donald Trump, refuses to come out and speak out against him unless he's called in on a subpoena by a grand jury, because he thinks in some shape, form, or fashion at some point in time he will be able to have some piece of power from the Republican Party.
Right.
And it's all about greed. That's why they won't. I mean, people like Pence and the guy that was the first Secretary of State, I forget his name under him, Mattis. They won't come out and say anything, even like George Bush. I'm like, what are you sitting around waiting for?
I'm very disappointed in George W. Bush. I actually thought he would come forward and do what Dick Cheney did, which I do have some respect for Dick Cheney and his daughter Liz. For at least, while I disagree with them on so many things, and I don't think Dick Cheney was a good vice president, I do have some respect for the fact that at least he has come forward and he has endorsed Kamala Harris. We have to at least give him credit for that.
Yeah, I give him credit for that. Dick Cheney, right? He was Darth Vader, weapons of mass destruction, all that stuff. But when you look at them, these Republicans who just sat on the sideline, be quiet, don't really want to say nothing, because it's not about they actually endorse a lot of them do, but it's about if I speak out too much, when he's gone off the scene, I won't be able to have no chance to get any piece of that power.
Right.
And what they need to realize is the person they need to be concerned about, and not just us, those people who are against this MAGA foolishness, these Trump turds. The person I saw the other night that you need to really be paying attention to once we defeat Trump in November is J.D. Vance. Because J.D. Vance is slicker than a can of oil, and he can fool some people who won't, because he's not that braggadocious, audacious person.
Yeah.
He can fool some people into believing that he's just this moderate, sensible young guy who wants things a certain way.
Right.
And he dances around subjects. That's the danger right there.
You're right.
Trump, we have to defeat his ignorance.
Yes, we do.
And his foolishness. And you got to get rid of. You got to kill MAGA. And if I'm really praying that Kamala wins, and when she wins, she should not play around with them. And the first thing she has to do, I know my time is up, is not do the Roe v. Wade thing. That's not the first thing she should do. If she gets the Senate and the House, the first thing she needs to do is expand the Supreme Court, because any law she passed, if she doesn't expand that court will knock that law down.
I agree. Tyrone, in closing, I'll give you some advice, my friend. After that Trump turd, make sure to use your Donald Trump toilet paper, okay?
You got it.
Tyrone, great phone call, my friend. Great call. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Right.
Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Mike. I believe Mike is next on PTL. What's up, Mike?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I guess when I'm listening, you have a hard time separating Republicans from MAGA.
What do you mean I have a hard time?
Well, there's a lot of I agree with you on a lot of things about Donald Trump.
Sure.
But I'm still going to vote Republican.
Okay, so I have a lot of friends that are not MAGA Republicans. They're they're decent Republicans. I don't generalize the entire Republican Party as MAGA Republicans. I certainly don't generalize the entire Republican Party as racist or bigoted. I do say that the MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump's base specifically are, but I certainly... Let me ask you a question, though, my friend. Let's have a conversation about this. You're still voting for Donald Trump?
Correct.
Okay, talk to me about that. Tell me why.
There's a lot of reasons. One, I don't believe in health care for all. I don't believe in a lot of...
Let's talk about that first. Let's do one at a time.
Wait. Can I finish my thought?
Sure. Just if it's about health care, yes, go ahead.
And I don't mean health care per se, but I mean health care if you choose to live your life any way that you want to choose it. I'm all for it. You want to be gay, you want to be trans, you want to be...
Sure.
But I don't personally want to pay for your right to be trans.
Okay.
So I don't...
Where are you paying? Where are you paying for people to be trans?
Anytime an insurance claim goes in for a sex change operation, whether they're on Obamacare or even private insurance, that affects me. Either my insurance rates go up or the federal government is paying for it.
So there are people on healthcare right now where if they want a transgender surgery, insurance is covering the entire surgery? What health plan would that be?
They are allowed.
Who's they?
Well, not only. Well, let's just say they have the surgery. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what affects the surgery, but let's just say they have the surgery and then they go back in the hospital because they get an infection from the surgery.
Okay.
That is
but that's
covered.
but that's not what you just said. You just said that you're paying for trans people to have trans surgery. I don't think that's factually accurate. Now you're talking about an infection that somebody has.
So every trans surgery is done by private money. There's no insurance.
Listen,
or
you're the one.
money.
I never said that. You're the one making the claim. You're the one that just made. Hold on. Let's talk about this. You're the one who
rephrase it.
Okay, go ahead and rephrase it. Go ahead. I'll give you the opportunity to do that.
I'm saying in one way or another, the American public is paying part of it.
Okay, I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that characterization, but it sounds like to me you might be a little bit more anti-trans. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have a problem with people being transgender?
I have no problem with anybody being what they want to be.
Okay, then why is it that so many in your party seem to be anti-trans? They're anti-drag queen reading. They don't want gay people to get married. Why? Listen, I'm asking you this because you're a Republican. You're in the Republican Party. They don't want gay people to be married. They attack transgenders on a regular basis. They attack drag queen reading. I want to get your thoughts on that.
You see. No offense, you just twisted the whole conversation.
No, I didn't. Not at all. Not at all.
I'm talking about healthcare.
Okay, let's talk about healthcare. Let's talk about healthcare. Does it bother you that you're a Republican and you're voting for Donald Trump, and yet he said he has concepts of a plan, and he's had 9 years to replace Obamacare, and I've heard a lot of Republicans bitch and complain about Obamacare. Did it bother you on a debate stage, all transgender talk aside, that the man that you are going to support has no idea what a replacement plan would look like, and he hasn't even sat down with advisors for 2 hours in 9 years to talk about a plan? Does that bother you more than transgender surgery, that the man that you are going to support has concepts of a plan and he's had 9 years? Does that bother you, sir?
Sir,
it does bother you.
It just got very upset. This is
answer the question.
There's a lot of generalities.
No, there's no generalities. Let's start again, and I'll say it. No, hold on. I'm going to say it very calmly. Hold on. I'm going to answer. Well, you're not answering.
I'm giving you an answer.
Please do.
I'm giving you an answer.
Please do.
My answer is whether it be Obamacare or any kind of care that has been tried to be done in this country.
Hasn't been tried. It's been implemented.
Okay.
You said
I just said any that has been tried. I just said Obamacare or any that has been tried. Did I not say that?
Okay. Go ahead. Continue.
Okay. Is a vastly huge task to undertake.
It's a huge task to undertake. Why was Obama able to do it then? Was he able to do the task? You didn't vote for Barack Obama. He helped implement Obamacare. Why is it that Donald Trump has had 9 years to think about it and he doesn't even have a plan? I agree with you. It's not an easy thing. I agree. We're in agreement. I'm not saying it's easy. All I'm saying is throughout Donald Trump's presidency, he said, well, that'll be there in a month. It'll be there in 2 months. It'll be there in 2 weeks. He said it over and over again. And then on a debate stage a few weeks ago, he said he had concepts of a plan. How can you replace something that is not easy to do? We agree on that. When you don't even have a plan, doesn't that bother you? That was my question, and I haven't received an answer yet.
Well, we went from healthcare be for all, and you didn't answer that, to this.
Whoa. What do you mean I didn't answer? I've answered every one of your questions directly.
My answer is this. If Trump gets elected, I'm sure he's going to attempt to change Obamacare.
Let me ask you about that. You just said hold on. I'm going by your quote. If he's elected, you have no doubt that he will replace Obamacare. Why didn't he do it when he'll attempt to? He'll attempt to was the word you used, right?
Exactly.
Why didn't he attempt to do it when he was president for 4 years? Why didn't he make that attempt?
Well, why?
Yeah.
Because right now that is what the law of the land.
It's going to be the law. It's going to be the law of the land if he wins again. You're not making any sense. He had 4 years to attempt to do it. He didn't even make an attempt. So what evidence do you have to form the conclusion that he's going to make an attempt if he becomes president again?
Sir,
go ahead.
he may not change Obamacare.
Okay, well,
I don't understand.
You
I don't understand where we went from that. I'm a
Here's where we went.
Republican.
Here's where we went. I'll explain it to you, and I want you to stay on the line. You started this conversation, and that's why I'm keeping you on. I want to have it. And your first criticism, you mentioned healthcare, and you talked about transgenders. Now, I'm going to be very clear with you. I don't believe that we should have to pay for transgender surgery. That's my personal opinion, but that is not my number one priority, and that is not the number one priority of most Americans. That's yours. That's fine. My point is, hold on. You mentioned healthcare, and my point is, you're voting for Donald Trump. You're talking about Obamacare, and you said, I have no doubt that he'll make an attempt, is the word you used, to replace Obamacare. My point is, he didn't make any attempts when he was president for 4 years. And then when asked on a debate stage about it, he said he had concepts of a plan. Why on earth would you have any confidence in this man making an attempt, as you put it, to replace Obamacare? And you haven't given me any reasoning why you feel that way. Go ahead, sir.
Because he's president. I don't expect
he was president for 4 years.
Sir, if you're not going to let me finish.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to assume that he's going to have capable cabinet members that will look into it.
Did he not?
Now, I'm not saying.
Hold on.
I'm not saying.
Hold on. I have to interject. Did he not have competent cabinet members when he was president in 2016 to 2020?
Sir, were his last year and a half of the presidency consumed by COVID?
That wasn't my question. Did he not have?
No.
That wasn't my question. I'm asking you to answer my question.
Your question is, he had 4 years, and my answer is
that
no,
wasn't my question. That wasn't my question.
Okay.
I need you to listen. You said you believe he's going to replace Obamacare or make an attempt.
I never said that.
Listen to me.
No.
Or he'll make an attempt.
I said he would
make an attempt. Listen. You said he would make an attempt. And then I said, what is your evidence to believe that? And you said, well, I believe he'll have competent cabinet members. My question was, did he not have competent cabinet members when he was already president? That was my question.
Yes.
Okay, so why didn't it happen then? So why didn't it happen then?
Maybe he didn't have the votes to change it. There's a million reasons.
Not true. Not true. He didn't even put forth a plan for votes, okay? He didn't even put forth a proposal. In order for there to be a vote, there has to be a plan, not concepts of a plan. Let's move on now. I think we'll agree to disagree on that one. Name me something else. By the way, let me ask you a question now. Does it bother you at all? Forget about the criminality. We'll probably disagree on the criminality of Donald Trump, even though he's a 34-count felon. Does the behavior bother you at all that he lies about the 2020 election, that he's a liable sexual abuser? Does it bother you at all that he doesn't admit that he lost the 2020 election? Does it bother you at all that there are 25 women that have come forward that have accused him of sexual assault? Wait, let me finish, please. Does it bother you at all that he has attacked POWs like John McCain and he said he didn't respect him because he was captured? Does any of that behavior bother you at all?
What we opened this conversation by me saying that I don't like Trump, but I'm voting Republican.
Okay, so what does that mean?
Stop. Why did you just go?
Don't tell me to stop. I'm asking you a question. Okay, I'm going to ask it again. I'm going to ask it again a different way, so hopefully you will answer the question directly. I understand you said you don't like Trump. Okay, fine. So I'm going to assume that you don't like some of that behavior. Is it fair to say with you, sir, as a voter, that you put moral compass aside and all you care about policy? For example, the first thing you mentioned was you don't think we should have to pay for transgenders, and that's a big priority for you. But is it fair to say that you just put here's the question. You put moral compass aside, and I don't know, healthcare with transgenders is more important than a man who's a liable sexual abuser. Is that a fair characterization?
Okay, you asked me to start, and I started with healthcare. There's a million other reasons, but you haven't even let me go past.
You didn't even start. Okay, well, I'll give you the opportunity, but you didn't. You didn't really start. Let me
answer the question.
Okay.
You asked me a question.
Okay, but hold on.
Answer.
Okay, but we didn't start with healthcare. Hold on a second.
Let me answer.
I'm going to let you answer, but you just mischaracterized. Okay, our conversation. You started with transgender surgery. You didn't talk about lowering the cost of insulin, which is something that Joe Biden did. You didn't talk about lowering the cost of prescription drugs. The first thing you mentioned under healthcare was transgender surgery, which is a right-wing talking point when it comes to transgenders. I'm going to let you continue, sir, but please don't make it like you talked about everything involving healthcare, because you didn't. You talked about transgenders, but go ahead.
That's the first thing. Anything that weighs on the public money has to do with healthcare. And by the way, I'm a diabetic. My insulin is not $35 a month.
Because they capped it for people that are older than us. That's why. It's a great start. And Kamala Harris has said on the record that she wants to do it if she becomes president for all Americans. But Joe Biden got the ball rolling. How could you not give them credit for that, man?
I didn't say I'm not giving him credit for it. But I know as an individual, my insulin is not $35 a month.
Because the bill that they passed was for people that are over. You keep saying stop.
Every Democrat in the world takes credit for that bill. Not every Democrat
hold on, pot him down now, because you're saying nonsense. Every Democrat in the world, by the way, this didn't happen in the world. It happened in the United States of America. And the Democrat or Democrats that should take credit for it is Joe Biden and his administration. Why is that so hard for you to comprehend and admit? Every Democrat isn't responsible or taking credit. In fact, Donald Trump, the man who you're going to be voting for, has lied. And he said he was the reason why insulin was capped at 35 for senior citizens. If you care about people that take credit, then why don't you criticize Donald Trump for taking credit for something that Joe Biden is the one who overwhelmingly implemented this policy? Are you going to criticize Donald Trump for taking credit for capping insulin at $35, since we're on that topic?
All right. You just said that Joe Biden should take credit for it.
I hate his administration.
So Nancy Rosen shouldn't take credit for it? Susie Lee shouldn't take credit for it? Every Democrat in the House and Senate that's running for re-election shouldn't be
Okay, I'll answer your question. You said Democrats around the world, which was an ignorant statement. That's number one. Number two, I give credit to a lot of Democrats. Why do you keep saying sir and interrupting me? I'm answering your question.
Because you need to keep the conversation
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I haven't called you any names, and I'm not going to be told. And I'm not going to be told how to have this conversation. I'm going to have the conversation. If you don't like it, you can hang up the phone. I'm sorry, I'm destroying you. Can you please answer my question? Does his behavior bother you? Does it bother you that he's a 30? Does it bother you? Does it bother you? What?
You have not made one point.
I haven't made. Okay, pot him down. I'll make some points. You want me to make points? Here you go. I'm going to make some points. Donald Trump is the reason why January 6th happened. He's continued to lie about the election. Donald Trump is a 34-count felon. We shouldn't have a convicted felon as the president of the United States and the leader of the free world. Donald Trump is the man who has 25 women who have accused him of sexual assault or rape. I don't want somebody like that in office. Donald Trump is the guy that spent $8.2 trillion. He got us $8.2 trillion in debt while he sells $100,000 watches. Donald Trump is the guy who sides with evil, murderous dictators. Donald Trump is the guy who wrote letters, love letters to Kim Jong-un. Donald Trump is the guy who stood up 2 feet away from Vladimir Putin, 2 feet away from Vladimir Putin, and sided with him over our own CIA and FBI. Donald Trump is the guy who said in regards to COVID, 15 cases down to 0. It's going to be gone by Easter. And he took his COVID press conferences and he turned them into campaign rallies. Donald Trump is the guy, if he loses in November, he's not going to concede. Donald Trump is the guy who attacks women on looks. He attacks POWs, suckers and losers. I don't respect him because he was captured. Donald Trump is the guy, his own vice president won't be voting for him. There are 40 members of his cabinet, including 5-star generals, that won't be supporting Donald Trump. Did I make enough points for you, sir? Would you like me to make a few more points for you?
Sir.
Did I make enough points, or would you like me to make a few more?
What substantial policy point did you make in that rant?
Sure. You want to hear some policy points? He got us $8.2 trillion in debt. Donald Trump is the reason why when he left office, we were in the tank. We were locked up in our rooms during COVID. And if you don't want to put any blame on Trump for COVID, what about his response? Per capita, if you want to talk about policy, we are one of the richest countries in the world. Per capita, we were like number 2 or number 3 when it came to deaths per capita in this country. He left our economy in shambles when Joe Biden took it over. What do you make of that, sir? Do you not put any of that on Donald Trump at all?
Let me ask you a question. You live in Las Vegas, correct?
You're not going to respond to what I just said. You're going to ask a question.
Here's
Okay,
my response.
Okay.
Do you live in Las Vegas?
That's a great response. Yes, I do live in Las Vegas. You are right about something in this phone call. I appreciate that.
Did Sisolak
Yes, sir.
close the strip and make the Vegas economy tank?
Did Sisolak? Wow, what a dumb thing to say, but I'll still answer your question. First of all, there are Republican governors all over the country that also closed down their state. The reason why they did that is because they were listening to healthcare professionals, and Donald Trump, the Cheeto Jesus orange turd rapist that you support, left it up to the states to decide. Steve Sisolak saved lives. We lost millions of people in this country, and I'm also going to assume that you consider yourself an infectious disease expert, right? Even though you probably have zero medical experience, but yet you want to criticize a Republican Democrat in this state Democrat Republican in this state when there are also Republicans in other states that also shut down their state as well when Donald Trump was president of the United States. You're probably also one of those people that hates Dr. Fauci, even though Donald Trump is the guy that hired him. If you want to talk about policy, were you okay with Donald Trump leaving it up to the states to decide? Because that's policy, sir.
Am I allowed to finish my thought or no?
Okay, stop it with your stupid condescending statements. Answer the question.
When Steve Sisolak left office, Las Vegas was in a deep, deep recession.
The entire country was in a deep, deep recession. Next, checkmate. Next, the entire country was in a recession. Nobody was working. We were locked up, and almost every state was locked up, including Republican governors. What is wrong with you? Do you not understand that? The entire country was shut down. It wasn't just Steve Sisolak. And by the way, we live in a very unique state.
But you can't keep on blaming Trump.
Trump is the one that left it up to the states. Do you not understand that?
Oh, okay. And the state of Nevada with a Democratic governor.
And Republican governors also shut down the states. What is wrong with you? The entire country was shut down. Will you give me something else? Because this is just a ridiculous conversation.
You keep on blaming Trump.
Trump left it up to the states. What part of that do you not understand?
And some of the people heading the states made mistakes.
Can you name me one Republican governor in any state in this country that did not at one point during COVID shut down their state? Can you name, it's not Ron DeSantis. He shut it down for maybe shorter than Sisolak, but he shut it down. Can you name me one Republican governor that didn't shut down anything during COVID?
But you're blaming the recession.
I'm going to ask you again to answer my question. Can you name me one? Okay, they all did. Okay, checkmate. Next question, please. Let's move on. Can you please...
Checkmate.
Yes, checkmate. You know what that means? Do you play chess? You don't sound like you're much of a chess player. What did Donald Trump... Can you name me some policies that really were great under Donald Trump that really said, wow, thank God he did that? I mean, I could name a few. There's a few things he did that I like. But can you name me some policies? Because I'll name you a ton of Joe Biden policies. What did Donald Trump do policy-wise that you really liked?
Well, the first thing is he gave the Border Patrol permission to actually do their jobs.
Okay, what bill was that? Can you name me the policy where you say, in a very general sense, he allowed Border Patrol?
It wasn't a bill.
So I'm going to ask. Okay, I'm going to ask you. Okay, not limiting something is not a policy. I'm going to ask you again. What policies? Okay, I'm going to ask you to name me a policy.
Border Patrol.
We're not talking about Biden right now. You're a Trump supporter. Name me some policies you like under Donald Trump. Don't oh my God me, sir. What policies do you like under Donald Trump? Answer the question.
I'm kind of waiting to see when he comes back in. See what's going on.
So you can't name me one policy that you liked under Donald Trump in 4 years, and your only response to my question before you Google it. Before you Google it, before you Google it on your Obama phone, can you name me one policy you liked under Donald Trump? Just one.
On my Obama phone?
Yeah, it was a joke, sir. It's called levity. Can you name me one policy, sir?
You're calling me ignorant and attacking me, and then you're
because you can't name one policy. If I tell you I like this politician, after pot him down again, can you if I like one politician, say Joe Biden, hey Brian, What did you like about Joe Biden's presidency? I like the CHIPS and Science Act. I like the fact that he capped insulin at $35. I like student loan debt relief. I like the fact that he gave health care to our brave men and women, the bill that he put forward with Jon Stewart. I like that a lot. I also like the fact that we have record highs with the NASDAQ. I love the fact that compared to other G7 countries, we're number one when it comes to inflation. I really like that a lot. I love the fact that he's done those things. And I could name you plenty more, but I just named you 5 policies. You can't name me one. And when I ask you, the reason why I called you ignorant, because I believe you are, sorry, Snowflake, I believe you are. When I ask you, name me one policy you like under Donald Trump, because you're going to be voting for Donald Trump, the only thing you say to me is, quote, well, he let the people do their job at the border. That's not a policy. Now that you've maybe had a chance to Google something, can you name me a few policies you like under Trump? I'll give you another chance, sir. I'm all for second chances. You seem like a really nice guy.
You know what I like? I
What's
like
that?
people that aren't scared shitless.
I like people that aren't scared. That's your policy answer. Sir, I gave you a second opportunity. You are an absolute dope. Okay. You have no idea what you're talking about. Your number one priority, or the number one thing that you brought up on this show, was transgender surgery. I ask you if you can name one policy that you like under Donald Trump in 4 years, just one. And the only thing you said was he let people at the border do their job. I don't even know what that means. And then you said, I'm scared blankless. Not to be scared blankless, crapless, or whatever you just said. Sir, that's why I call you an idiot, because you can't name me one policy like so many other bird for brain MAGA supporters. Are you college educated, sir? Sir?
Yes, I'm college educated.
What's your education? Like, did you take political science? Because you sound very politically savvy when you vote for somebody and you can't name one policy in 4 years. That's very politically savvy, sir. What would you say if you said, Brian, why did you vote for Joe Biden? Can you name me some policies? And I said, well, the policy of not being scared blankless. What would you call me if I said that?
Well, here's one thing I do.
See, we got another MAGA supporter that's developing a stutter. I'm sorry, sir. Go right ahead.
Wow.
Have a nice day, sir. I've had enough of you. Have a nice day. I love it. Winner, we have another MAGA supporter that's developed a stutter. We have another MAGA supporter that's developed a stutter. I'm not mocking people for having a stutter. I'm mocking this guy for developing a stutter in the middle of the phone call. What did we learn from this caller? Well, we learned a couple things. Number one, we learned his number one priority and his biggest criticism: I don't want to pay for people to have transgender surgery. I'm sure that's number one on everybody's mind that are reasonable people. I don't want to pay for transgender surgery. What else did we learn? Another MAGA clown, and an inbred MAGA clown that can't name one policy. Can't name one. Another brilliant caller. 702-221-7283. Sir, I give you credit for trying. I hope you take care of that stutter. Let's go to Patrick. Patrick is next on PTL. What's up, Patrick?
Hey, Brian. Good to talk to you again, man. In regards to our conversation yesterday, buddy, this thing with Tim Walz, I think it's clear that he misspoke about the school shooter being friends with them. I don't think there's any evidence, my man, that he actually met with any school shooters.
I never said he met.
If I'm wrong.
I never said he met with any school shooters. I never said that yesterday.
In our conversation, you said he was meeting with school shooters to
shootings
and determine what's causing them to do it. Is that right?
Patrick, I never said he met with a school shooter. Now, his statements that he made yesterday on the debate stage when he said that he befriended, I believe that was the term that he uses, he clarified his statements yesterday. When I hear somebody make a statement like that, I know that Tim Walz comes from the right place. He doesn't want to just be friends and hang out with murderers, okay? He clarified his statement. Sadly, sometimes Tim Walz, and this happens, you misspeak. He was talking about David Hogg. Okay, well, that's fine. If you want to call him a knucklehead, that's fine. Do you have a problem like when Donald Trump misspeaks?
He called himself a knucklehead, Brian. That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha. So would you characterize Donald Trump as a knucklehead? Like when Donald Trump talks about ripping up the Constitution, or when Donald Trump has nicknames for people, or when Donald Trump talks about Hannibal Lecter or electrocuting sharks, would you characterize Donald Trump as a knucklehead? Or is it just Tim Walz because of that statement? I'm just asking.
Well, I think we need to go back to yesterday's conversation.
No, I think we need to go back. No, I think we. No, I think we need to. No,
You're trying to
I
correct
think.
yourself
I think we need to. I think we need to go back. No, I think you look stupid, sir. With all due respect, I think we need to go back to that same question. You just called Tim Walz a knucklehead for misspeaking. I am asking you a very specific question. We're not going back to yesterday. We're going back to right now. When Donald Trump talks about Hannibal Lecter or electrocuting sharks, or when Donald Trump makes idiotic, stupid statements like Kamala turned black, would you also characterize that as knucklehead statements? It's a very simple question, sir. Go ahead and answer it, Patrick.
I think Trump is very entertaining. I think he's funny.
Okay, gotcha. So you think it's entertaining and funny when you say Kamala Harris turned black. You think it's entertaining and funny when you lie about legal Haitian immigrants eating cats and dogs and stealing your pets. You think it's funny when he has nicknames for all sorts of different people that he doesn't like. You think it's funny when he incites violence and he says, I'd like to rough that guy up. I'll pay your legal bills if you rough that guy up. Would you characterize, Patrick, those statements as being funny?
Hey, speaking about the dog.
No. You're going to answer my question. You're not changing the subject. When he says he doesn't respect a POW for being captured, would you characterize that as, quote, entertaining and funny?
I'm talking about Kamala being black.
I'm not.
And it's kind of funny enough.
You think that's funny?
You mentioned that. You mentioned that, Brian.
You think that's funny?
You mentioned that.
Do you think that's funny?
It is funny because
it's funny. So it's funny to attack somebody's race.
Don Lemon in 2019 argued with his panel that she was not black.
This conversation has nothing to do with Don Lemon. It has to do with you and me and the statements of Donald Trump. You said you like his entertaining comments and you think he's funny. This has nothing to do with Don Lemon, and I'm going to ask you the question again. Do you think, Patrick, it's funny to attack somebody and to attack their race or lack thereof when we know that Kamala Harris's father is from Jamaica and we know her mother is from India? Do you think it's funny for the former president of the United States, trying to be the leader of the free world once again, to say somebody turned black? I'm asking you, Patrick, and that has nothing to do with anybody else. Do you think that's funny?
Well, I agree with Don Lemon that I think it's pandering when you
I didn't ask you. I don't care. That wasn't the question. Patrick,
she's not black.
Patrick,
everybody knows she's not black.
Patrick, when did you turn stupid?
I agree with Don Lemon. What can I say, man?
Patrick,
I hate to say that.
Patrick,
I agree with Don Lemon.
Patrick, I'm just being funny and entertaining. When did you turn into a racist? When did you turn stupid?
That's funny, man.
I'm entertaining. I'm being entertaining. I'm being funny.
Conversation. And you know what?
He is black.
Tell you again,
hey, Patrick.
The news cycle is going to be a nightmare and an uphill battle for this administration. Right. Now with the disaster and the FEMA response.
What was the disaster?
Whoa.
Let's go one at a time. I know you want to deflect. Joe Biden has released the governors. Okay, well, let's talk about the FEMA response since you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. They implemented the maximum amount of funds that they could release when it came to FEMA. The Republican governors even admitted that Joe Biden has done anything and everything that they've asked for and that they had everything they could possibly ask for. So please explain to me how Joe Biden answer the question.
Why is the whole area right now under a no-fly zone and resources aren't being allowed to be flown in?
Okay, the reason why, first of all, that is not true. There are resources and there are people that are helping and bringing food and water. So what you just said is not factually accurate. It is still extremely volatile and dangerous situation. But you see, people like you don't understand the funds that were allocated. And you also don't understand the Republicans are the ones that are the reasons, including Donald Trump, who had a maximum payment of $500. Republicans are the ones that keep shooting down what Joe Biden has tried to implement, which was more money to help people when it came to relief. We heard the same thing in Maui from people like you, quite frankly, Patrick.
These people don't need money right now. They need baby formula. They need water. They need food to survive.
Do you have the statistics? Do you have the statistics? Do you know what they have allocated in the food and water and what they have done? Or are you the type of person that thinks Donald Trump's visit out there?
Brian,
if they don't need money, if they don't need money,
what they allocate if they're not receiving it, if these supplies aren't going in,
they have received it. What are you talking about? It. He implemented this act and he put stuff in place from FEMA already.
There's a no-fly zone over the whole area because.
So what did Donald Trump do? So what did Donald Trump do? So what? Oh, you want to talk about a photo shoot? What did Donald Trump do when he set up bricks in front of where he spoke? What did Donald Trump do? What did he do? Did he give people food and water?
It didn't cause a no-fly zone over the whole area.
All right, Patrick. I appreciate the call, Patrick. Thank you so much for calling in. We got Patrick who wants to talk about a no-fly zone. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. What should we do? Let's take one more call. Let's go to Lou. Lou, what's going on, man?
Hey, Brian. Good show as usual. Keep up the good work,
Thank
man.
you.
Hey, I have one quick comment and opinion.
Sure.
The first comment is I hope Tina Peters enjoys her Pruno while sitting in prison.
Yeah, I do too.
And also, Jack Smith, he's a true patriot, man. You know, after all this is said and done on the prosecutions he's working on, I hope he gets the Medal of Freedom.
Well, you know, there's a lot of people that have been helping when it comes to the hurricane. There's a lot of people that do a lot of good things for this country and others. And it's frustrating to me, my friend, when you have Republicans like Patrick and others who call in. I'm glad they call in. But you have people who call into this show who want to make the case that Joe Biden hasn't done enough hurricane relief. When you actually look at the facts are the absolute opposite. Let's go to Terry. Terry is next up on PTL. I got about 1 minute for Terry. Terry, what's up?
Yeah, I just want to. This whole show has been very interesting today, but
That's
you
one
know
way
what?
to put it.
My thought is that what are all these people that are in jail or are going to go to court and probably get put in jail because of Donald Trump? What are they doing in jail thinking, my life has been
It's a good question, Terry. It's a really good question, and I'm up against the end of the show here. It's a really good question, Terry. Here's what I believe. There are some people that are able to rehabilitate and say, oh, my God, I guess you could use the term brainwashed, and I made a lot of mistakes. Like, I've had Pam Hemphill on the show. She was a January 6th insurrectionist, and she did the show, and she saw the light, and she's like, man, I should have never listened to Donald Trump, and I was brainwashed and so on. And then there are the certain types of people that are so stupid. And I give those people credit, by the way, but the people that are just so dumb that they go to jail and then they come out of jail and they haven't learned their lesson. What are you going to do? Big show lined up for you tomorrow. 2 big names tomorrow on the program. Representative Adam Kinzinger will be joining us on the show. He is campaigning for Kamala Harris, lifelong Republican. Senator Bernie Sanders will be joining us on the show tomorrow. He is also campaigning for Kamala Harris. Both will be joining us on the PTL radio show tomorrow. Same time, same place. I get this all the time from people. I'll say it one more time. Check out our new website for people that want to get involved and support the show, pushingthelimits.live. And again, that website, if you want to be a part of the program, pushingthelimits.live. You check out our free newsletter, sign up. And, we sell merchandise up there, PTL hats, shirts, beanies, you name it. We sell it. We are an independently owned radio show, so to keep the lights on, we appreciate your support. Also, there's a button right there on the front page of pushingthelimits.live where you can help donate. Doesn't matter what it is, $5, $10, $20 a month. We appreciate anything you can do for us. And I do appreciate my MAGA callers calling in. We had several today. I appreciate them giving it a shot. It usually doesn't end very well for them, but I appreciate giving them a shot. If you're going to call into this show and you're a Donald Trump supporter, name me a couple policies. That's all I ask. Just name me a few. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Check out my website, pushingthelimits.live. Bernie Sanders and Adam Kinzinger will be joining us on the show tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
Brian Shapiro, you're an idiot, but I love you.
In these uncertain times, we need a leader who puts policy over politics.
I'm Ron Quince. I am beyond the bickering and what we see today. I am running to fight for your values, faith, family, and freedom.
Ron Quince stands for safe borders, lower taxes, and lower prices.
Let's take our country back, one community, one vote at a time. I am Ron Quince, and I'm asking for your vote